Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for stopping by. In my last video, we learned how to make handmade paper. Here's the video. If you haven't watched it, you can click now to watch it and then come back here, because now what we're going to do is make a book from that handmade paper. This is a coptic stitch binding, and I have utilised the instructions from a wonderful girl called Jennifer at Sea Lemon. I'll put the link in the description below. Go to her site and subscribe to her channel. She does some amazing things and everything you need to know about book binding. So I thought, what a great way to utilise your handmade paper. And I have got a very special friend who loves to journal while she's on holidays, and this will be a great gift for her. So you're going to learn exactly how to make a book like this with your handmade paper. Let's get started. So first you're going to need your handmade paper. You'll also need some board to make the front and the back covers. You'll need a utility knife, a bone folder, some scissors, a pencil, a sharp pointy thing. I don't know what it is or where I got it from, but that's what I'll be using. You'll also need a ruler and some shiny thread. Now take each piece of paper, fold it in half and make a crease. You can flatten down that paper with the bone folder. You can use a ruler or a paddle pop stick if you don't have a bone folder. Do that to each of the sheets. So now we're going to reinforce our handmade paper by putting a paper spine on it. So all I've got here is a piece of A4 photocopy paper, and I'm just making some strips the width of the ruler. Now that we've got our strips of paper, what we're going to do is glue them onto the fold line that we made earlier when we folded them all in half. I'm just using a glue stick here, but you can use whatever it is that you've got on hand. Now you just need to do this to the front and back of every single sheet. Now we have to refold each piece of paper again. I've found the easiest way to do this is line up your metal ruler with the grid on your cutting mat to make sure that it's straight, and gently fold the paper over the ruler. Once you've got your initial fold, you can help it along with the bone folder. Now that we have strengthened the spines of all of our pieces of paper, we're going to make the signatures. Now signatures are usually made up of 4 pieces of paper placed inside each other, but because these pieces are quite thick, I'm just going to use 2 pieces to make one signature. So put one piece inside the other, line it up, and do the same until you've done it to all the pieces of paper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mark and punch holes at 1 inch intervals, 3 inches from each end. So grab your ruler and your pencil, line up your signature and mark
1 inch intervals, 3 inches in from each end. Then just transfer the markings onto the rest of the signatures, making sure the signatures are all lined up straight. Okay, so now we're going to get our sharp pointy thing, and we are going to punch the holes into the marks that we made on the signatures, making sure that they go all the way through. So now we're going to transfer the markings that we have on the signatures onto our boards. So make sure your board is nice and straight against the grid of your cutting mat. Make sure your ruler is nice and straight. Line up where the marks are with the signatures and mark them on the board. Come in about 1 centimetre in from the edge of the board. Now get your sharp pointy thing and punch the holes through the board. Now just check that the needle that you've chosen is going to fit through the holes in your board. Fantastic! Now get your other board, line it up with the first board, get your sharp pointy thing and mark where the holes are. You may need to straighten it up if it moves like I'm doing here. And then once you're done, you can punch the holes through on the second board. Now get a good length of your shiny cotton, thread it onto your needle, and we're going to double thread it so it's double strength. Get the 2 ends and then tie them in a double knot together. Okay, so now we're going to start connecting our signatures to the board. So place your signature on top of the board, get your needle and your thread, and we're going to thread inside the first hole of the signature. Now we want to go over and through the back of the board. Loop behind the stitch that you've just done. And then back into the signature. The thread will sometimes get tangled, so just go slowly and reposition the board if you need to make it more comfortable for yourself. Looking at this video, playing it back, I realised that it's not really clear what I mean when I say loop around behind the previous stitch. So I'm going to do a supersized version here so you can see more clearly. So in through the signature. Over and through the back through the other side of the board. loop behind the previous stitch that you've just done. And back into the signature. So now we're going to continue until you get to the very last hole, pop it through the signature, around the back of the board, loop behind the previous stitch, and it's now that we get your next signature. And go in through the outside into the first hole. Whoops, make sure you get both pages of your signature. If they come apart, just open it up and pop your needle through the hole and carry on. Now just repeat the steps all the way to the other end. But this time we want to go around behind the loop of the previous one we've done, and sometimes it's easier just to poke it under all of the signatures, around the stitch and back again.
Give me a good job in the comments below if you've got this far.
And as before, on your last one, loop around and get the next signature. So this time when we loop behind, we need to loop on the previous signature, not the bottom signature. So you're going into the loop that you just did before. Now this can be a little bit tricky. You can either try and loop the needle behind here and catch it with your finger, or you can just poke it through in between the signatures, open it up, pull it through and pull it back like we did before. Just find whatever works best for you. Loop through again, pull it through and back into the signature. So pop your needle through the signature. I found it easy this way. Then through the board. Loop it around the back. So here we've run out of thread, but no problem, just tie it off from the previous stitch that you did. Tie a knot on it. This is the tricky way. Cut it off, thread up some new cotton, put a double knot in the end and you're away. And back through the signature. So now we're at the end, just tie it off, knot it up, and you're all done. Now all that's left to do is to write a note on the inside cover to my friend, ready for wrapping and gifting to her. I think she's going to love it.
If you like this clip, give it a thumbs up and share with all your friends so everyone can learn how to bookbind. Thanks and see you next time.